back to another episode of Under the Baobab Tree. You're so welcome here. Today I want to talk about sensing energy, feeling energy, seeing energy, experiencing energy. But so what is energy? I mean, electricity is a power or charge that makes machines work, right? If we get an electric shock, we really feel it. And energy is also a word we use to describe when we, quote unquote, have energy, meaning we are fit or in the mood to do things. We have energy. Or we don't have energy, which means we're tired or drained or burned out. But in this episode, I want to talk about the word energy we use when we talk about vibes. Or something we sense or feel, but not necessarily see. We could even say some of these energies are spirits. We all are natural beings with the ability to sense energies. I believe the distractions in today's world are making it more difficult to recognize the differences in energy, and also following what others say and not following your own gut feeling or intuition doesn't help with learning to sense energy, in my opinion. The key to learn how to sense energy is really trusting on what you are feeling. Similar to what I said in the episode about the biggest block to grow spiritually. I believe that's episode 7. Trust is key. As long as you don't trust yourself, you'll be confused about everything you're getting. Everything you're feeling. So for this episode 2, while listening, you can learn how to sense energy or how to follow your intuition. And this is not about the voices in your head or your opinion or your projections or your fear. It's not necessarily your rational mind. It's what you feel, what your heart says, the vibes you get. And very often it's actually the first thing you feel before you even can start thinking. So, what do you sense from my energy, from listening to my voice, or from the things I say? Another key for learning how to sense energy is getting to know your own energy. This is such a major thing. It's so important. Because how can you distinguish different energies if you even don't know how your own energy feels like? And so the best way to get to know your own energy is hanging out with yourself and observing how that feels, so you know how your, let's say, blueprint feels. And this can take some time, it takes some time to get to know your own energy. And even if you don't have a lot of alone time, then just try to feel into your own energy, for example, right before you go to sleep, even if it's a few minutes, like consciously. Or maybe when you're under the shower, even though like in a shower, you actually are already together with the energy of water. And that brings me to the next thing that I want to share. Because everything is energy. Everything has energy. And energy moves and can transform. If you are really tuned in, you'll feel the energy of the water of a river or a waterfall is different than the water in a plastic bottle. But it's both water, right? What I want to say is that everything you hear, see, taste, sense in any way is energy materialized. So it has a blueprint in the spirit realm, and we see that energy in a denser matter. Another way of sensing energy is getting more in tune with your own way of receiving information or messages. Do you feel that in your body? Do you see something in your mind's eye? Do you hear something? So, for example, if I tell you now, there are like 2 little girls and they're playing together and they're having so much fun and they're laughing super loud and they're playing with a balloon and they're on a little hill somewhere next to a tree. What happened if I told you that? Did you already see that in your mind's eye? Were you almost hearing the laughter? Or were you just knowingly listening? It can be very, very interesting to know from yourself in which way you receive information or in which way you even learn, right? Like, how did you learn when you were in school? What was the easiest way for you? Like, all this information can help you with learning how to sense energy. And once you know how your intuition speaks to you, it's easier to pay attention to the way how you sense energy. It's important here to ask yourself when you receive something or you sense something, is this my own energy? Or is this my own fear? Or is it something else, right? It's really good to learn if it's your own energy or not. And sometimes you also want to confirm by asking, is this coming from true source or the Most High? Because sometimes there can be deceiving energies going around, right? But even that in itself can be interesting to get to know. Even that can be a teacher to learn how to sense energy. So asking yourself these questions can help you with learning how to sense energy. So if you enter a room, any room, your own room, a room in someone else's house, a room in a hospital, or when you're in a supermarket or in a car even, stand still and ask yourself, what do I sense right now? And just mention to yourself all the words and images or feelings that are coming up. It can also really help to do this exercise with a friend to sharpen your skill and to share with one another what you're seeing or feeling or sensing. You don't need to know right away what it is that you feel. You don't need to be able to name it or label it. The first step can be to feel how it feels to you. Does it feel like your own energy? Does it feel uplifting? Or does it feel as if you can't breathe? Draining? Dark? Sparkling? However you say that in English. Like, just try to see what's happening there. As I said before, energy moves and transforms. So another great way to learn how to sense energy is to observe these movements. For example, within yourself. How do you feel when you are in your house, and how does that feeling and energy changes when you go outside? And how is it when you feel frustrated and then afterwards the energy becomes lighter again? And when you observe a conflict between people and that energy changes again. This is particularly interesting because there are multiple players. Groups or more people give you the opportunity to see how energy moves and interacts. It's so interesting. I'm sure you can guess where I'm going here. What I'm actually trying to say is that the observer skill is so important to sense energy. Like, observe, how does energy move at a music concert? And how does the energy move when it's silent? And how is it again when the music starts again? How do certain animals behave when they are close to certain people? Or in certain situations? Animals really are great teachers if you want to learn about energy. And how does your belly pain feel when you lay your hand on it compared to when there is no hand on it? Does something change there? And how is your energy during the different phases of your menstruation cycle, if you menstruate? Or have you ever done that exercise where you rub your hands really quickly against one another? Maybe you can do it now if your hands are free. But if you rub them very quickly, and then you hold the hands facing towards one another, and you can feel a kind of heat or pulsating feeling or tingling. And then what happens if you remove these hands, when you pull and push them closer to one another and like away from one another, what do you sense there? How does that feel? So learning to read energies is really in the subtleties of life and learning how to observe. Once you start sensing energy, some things you see or experience will make no sense to you anymore. As someone might say one thing, but you'll sense something else. Or someone might preach peace and love, but directly you feel a very different energy that is coming towards you. Or maybe you'll see something on the news that is saying something, but it feels differently. It's like reading through the lines. It makes you see through the lines. You start to see through certain illusions even. And this is not always easy. But if you want to grow spiritually and you want to grow in sensing energy, it's good to train this skill. And I would say actually in general it's good to train this so you can stay closer to yourself and in what you want instead of believing or following what others say. It's a great tool to stay sovereign and to not be deceived. And another great reason to practice sensing energy is because you also can become more aware of the energies in your body and in your life, right? But like once you are aware of the energies in your body, it can actually help you to be less in your head and therefore to be more mindful and less stressed. And also, I want to mention in the spiritual field, actually in any other field, this is important too, but I'm talking about a spiritual field now, right? There are a lot of practitioners out there who work with energy, but not every practitioner knows exactly with which energies or spirits even they are working. And once this person is working with you, you allow the person to bring certain energies in your field too. And sometimes that can do more harm than good. So the more you can sense energy, the better you also know who's your person to work with or to go to. It actually makes it easier to discern, basically. So, a little summary of how you can learn how to sense energy. So a little summary of the things I mentioned in this episode, because maybe it was a little bit chaotic for me going here to there, but I want to mention them again here. So the first thing is get to know your own energy. See where you can find alone moments, even if they're really like just very short, and observe your own energy. How does it feel? Like, what's my blueprint? Then the second thing is learn how to stand still in life and observe. Learn how to observe. And learn also how to observe movements in energy. Then the third one is learn how you receive information, how you sense energy. What is your way of receiving it? Do you see it in your mind's eye? Do you feel it in your body? Do you hear something? Is it in a strong knowing? How do you receive it? And then use every situation as your playground. Exercise, because everything is energy. So just try to exercise. And the last one is trust what you get. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If this episode was insightful or interesting to you, feel free to share with friends and family, or write a review, or give the podcast 5 stars. All of this helps to bring more people to this podcast who might find this interesting. And if you want some help with growing in your ability to sense energy, I offer one-on-one Under the Baobab Tree sessions. You find all the information in the show notes. And don't forget to subscribe to my newsletter if you are interested in receiving some love letters from me in your mailbox. Thank you for listening. In this age of information floods, I really, really appreciate that you take the time to listen to this Under the Baobab Tree episodes. So see you the next time. We are actually coming to the end of the episodes of this first season. So stay tuned for the last episode. Bye-bye.